I'm Doug and I want to welcome you to the next Positive Gravity. Today I'm going to be working with this big piece of Mimosa. Never worked with Mimosa before. I don't know if it's a good wood for turning and I'm a little bit skeptical. I got a whole bunch of it from a tree that went down in the recent ice storm. You can see maybe from this piece how coarse the grain is. Each one of these rings is about 1/4 of an inch. In some pieces I've seen them as much as 1/2 an inch. And the density is kind of variable. My understanding is when wood is really coarse grained like that, it tends to tear out, and I won't be surprised if this tears out based on how it just feels. It almost feels like once it dries, it's going to weigh nothing. It'll be like balsa wood. So I'm pretty skeptical. But we're going to try anyway. I have a lot of it, so if it turns out to be firewood, it's firewood, and if it's the way it feels now, I think it's going to be kindling and go up like that. Anyway, today we're working with this piece. So the goal here is to make a platter, kind of a live edge oval platter. This is going to be the top. This will be the inside, the bottom. I'm going to make it as big as I can on my lathe, which is about 20 inches, and I'd like to go across this axis right here. There's a little bit of a stress line right here, so maybe there's some interesting detail in the wood there that I'm going to try to capture. But yeah, so I'm gonna probably with my chainsaw just kind of make this a little bit smaller. And make it so it will fit on my lathe. I'll put the faceplate on here, so I'll have to mortise, Forstner bit, a flat spot for my faceplate, and off we go. So I'm going to go ahead and do those steps, get this ready to go on the lathe, and then I'll bring you back. Thanks for joining me. Don't forget, always enjoy the process. Sometimes that's all you get. This is going to be quite a process, and I don't know if it's going to work. So thanks for joining me on the journey, and let's get started. All right, it's time to see if we can get this beast on the lathe. I cut it down and added the faceplate. Are you scared? I'm a little scared. All right, so the goal here, this is going to be the top on the faceplate side. This is going to be the base. I'm going to need to establish a tenon in here so I can flip this around and work on it. So I guess the first goal is going to be to flatten the bottom here, get my tenon established. And then start tapering up these sides to establish my live edge before I flip it around the other way. Pretty cool looking wood. Look how big these grain lines are. It's like an inch. I might end up with a round bowl. We'll see. I'm still working on forming my tenon. I need to take this surface down a bit more to get some beef for this. But for now, I got to keep removing material here and starting to take this corner up. Boy, I'm getting a little more excited about this. This is going to look really cool. If it stays together once it's dry. So to decide about the live edge thing, I need to go a little higher on the lip here. But in order to get a live edge all the way around, I'm going to have to come way up. Way up. I don't know if I want to do that. No, we'll see. Gotta go a bit further. Not the best material for a tenon. There's some cracks that go here all the way right into the tenon. Yeah, that's kind of a downer. We'll make it work. Interesting green spot right here. A little bit on the edge of this too. I assume that's a bark inclusion. I don't really see green anywhere else though. That's interesting. This looks like this crack goes out here, comes all the way to the edge. I think it's secure on this side, so I think it's okay, but all right on that. Some more here that's crack. So there's a branch that comes in right here. That might be problematic. Keep an eye on that as well. All right, so I got this turned this far. A couple problems. There's some cracks that run like all the way across here. It's kind of like where these branches come together. They're not super well connected. So So a little bit of my tenon chunked off. I'm going to try to use it anyway, which could be a mistake, but it's what I got. The alternative would be to try to glue something on here or make another one. I'd lose a lot of wood if I did that. This is so sopping wet wood, so I'm not sure that gluing anything on here is really going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and use it. It's beautiful wood. This is pretty cool if it works out. I'm afraid as it dries, the more cracks are going to form between grain lines because it's so coarse grain. Like this one's already starting to pull apart. I'm going to stop here with my turning on the outside and flip it over and start doing work from the inside. See if I can bring this down to meet here. All right, the game now is going to be to start removing material. I'd like to leave this on here as long as I can for support. I'm going to start in here, see what happens. I want to leave this at least probably 1.5 inches thick to dry, so I don't want to get too close to the edge. Time for me to call it a night, but if I'm gonna do that, I think I need to paint this with some anchor seal. I don't want this to dry overnight while I'm not working on it. So I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna take this whole thing off, leave the chuck attached, and put the whole thing into a yard waste bag with some wet shavings until tomorrow. All right, we're back the next day. I remounted this, everything looks fine. No new cracking or anything unusual. And so I'm gonna carry on. I'm gonna need to turn a little bit more off the outside. I think I'm gonna lose this lip right here. So I just don't know, it's a little weird. It's got a branch coming out right here. By the time I turn this down, we're gonna have raw wood over here. So I might end up just grinding off the bark and having kind of a semi-live edge. Not sure. We'll see. But for now, I need to keep going deeper here, and I need to fix this edge. Freshly sharpened 1/2-inch bowl gouge. I need to keep sweeping up this edge now. to take off. Make it not such a sharp curve right here. This needs to be flatter, and that'll bring this up a bit. All right, it's looking a little better. Keep going even a bit more. Structurally, this is all looking pretty good. Pretty big void here that I'll probably fill. This will end up being my foot eventually. I think that's big enough. Woo! I don't want to go that fast. So I'm starting to get a decent shape here, but I still need to get this corner up higher. I think I just need to keep going. Maybe do a little more workout here. This crack's starting to get bigger. Not sure I want to go a whole lot further. It's big here too. I'll be able to fill that probably with resin. It's big enough. Same on this side. Not sure I'm going to want to leave that. There's another one here. I think that's going to do for the outside for now. I got to leave a little bit of material so that when I come back for the second turn, I've got material to work with. God, this stuff is wet. All right, so now we can flip it around, work the inside some more. Everything's nice and secure. I'm gonna hollow this out some more. I probably want to leave at least this much wood all the way. This is a little thin over here, but so I basically just want to go a little deeper in the middle. So the goal here is to leave enough wood so that it can dry, and then I'll still have a form left to finish later. Alright, this seems reasonable thickness, that's a good inch. So I just need to keep going. It's looking pretty good. Maybe, I think I'll leave it. So I'm just going to keep going from this point down, parallel to the outside as best I can. Whew, this thing's beating me up. This wood just doesn't want to cut no matter what angle or tool I use. It's interesting. I don't know if it's because of the coarse grain or because I'm going like sapwood and heartwood, and so at different densities, but I can't even really cut this. Maybe it would cut easier if it was drier. I don't know. I've gotten down, you know, this far, and I think it's reasonable thickness to dry, but I think what I'm going to do here is take the faceplate off and try a Forstner bit to see if I can remove more of the center. It's a little bit risky because the wood seems so resistant to cutting, but I don't know what else to try. I can't really do much with this centerpiece with my tools, so it's an interesting wood. I actually think maybe because it's so wet and kind of fibrous that the fibers get stuck on the cutting edge, and so it doesn't cut. That's my best guess. Seems like if you take tiny micro passes, you can make some progress, but it's slow. Very slow. What do you think? Is it going to stay on while I do this? I'm scared. All right, here we go. There goes nothing. Just under 200 RPM. Stuff just gums up your cutting edge. It's the same thing it's doing to the cutting tools, I think. Boy, I don't know. I might just need to let this dry more. So it's not so fibrous. I don't know. Definitely doesn't want to come off in nice ribbons. If I slow it way down. You can see it building up on the blade. This is the weirdest wood that I've ever worked with. It's more like tropical, more like a tropical wood. Like a palm tree or something. Now that I'm down into heartwood, it's a lot better. cool, look at that. So the heartwood is functioning kind of normally. The sapwood is really soft and wet and fibrous and difficult. But now we're down into better wood. Probably slow this down a little bit now. This is extremely difficult to turn. I don't know if it's just this piece. I did another smaller piece. As a test, and this one wasn't nearly as difficult to turn. I turned that one to nearly final thickness just to see what would happen. Just a week or so ago, it's still wet. It was a lot easier than this one. Another branch there. Let's check the thickness. So that's about 3/4 of an inch to an inch. And down here on the bottom, a little thicker than that. So I think I can go just a little bit more right in the middle there. About here in. I can go just a bit further. So I think this is going to be really cool when it's done, as long as it stays together. I can see through it right here. So there's definitely going to be some resin, probably black resin work to do there. Probably here. That also goes through all the way. A little bit back here. It's still pretty solid, but if this was dry, I wouldn't want to turn it thinner than this, I don't think. But I'm going to let this dry the way it is. I'm going to, I think I'm going to put this in a bag of shavings, because I don't really want to put anchor seal on here with all these cracks, because the anchor seal is going to go in there and I'll never get it out. So no more anchor seal for this. Bag of wood shavings. I'm going to take it off the chuck. It's all going to be wonky when I put it back on here anyway, so. How much did we lose here? It still weighs about 10 pounds probably. It's got potential. All right, in the bag. I'll bring you back when that's dry and we're ready to turn it some more. It'll probably be weeks or months from now, so I'll see you then.